What's your favorite crypto, Natalie? If you had to pick one.
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, okay.
I'm a Bitcoiner.
Do you like Ethereum, the second biggest one?
No, I'm not. I'm not a fan personally. I believe in free markets, and I believe that some people will be able to, increase their bags with some of these other cryptocurrencies, and a lot of people also lose money. And I wish people all the best in their crypto casinos, but I'm sticking with Bitcoin, even if it performs not the way I want it to in the short run. I'm really happy with the performance in the long run and the potential.
Okay, so you're not enticed by the prospect of leverage. You're not, it doesn't allure you, the sexiness of 8, potentially 20 times returns in 3 months. We saw that with a bunch of new projects this year.
I stick to Bitcoin. I really do. I guess I'm playing it safe. People see Bitcoin as super risky. I think I'm actually taking the least risky, the super safe bet by not gambling on any other.
It is one of the more unvolatile coins out there. I mean, it's one of the most volatile assets in the world, but still compared to other projects, you're right. It's still relatively less risky. Let's say you convert an X percentage of your US dollar holdings into stable coins, and then you can just generate yield on that. Is that something that you might be interested in?
Well, look, I can see why that's super attractive, right? Because you put your money in Chase and get 0.002% interest, and then some of these platforms are offering like 9 to 17% on stable coins. But I think that the industry is going to have a lot more oversight, and there's going to be some regulatory, obstacles that it's going to face. Because look, for many politicians, it sort of threatens the dollar, right? And they're trying to create their own central bank digital currencies, which I am not for at all. I think Bitcoin is one of the things that will fix that issue, and the surveillance and sort of the control that central bank digital currencies will bring. So I'm not sure what will happen with the market. I think that the stable coin market is going to grow. It definitely needs more regulation. But again, I just stick with Bitcoin. So I don't worry too much about other sides of the industry that may or may not have more obstacles. Yeah, sure. Well, so everyone from, Peter Schiff to David Hunter, who I admire and respect very much. There's a lot of people out there who are predicting a massive bust. And we are so leveraged. We mentioned it, a little bit earlier. It's an incredible debt to GDP ratio right now. We have so much excess and leverage in the system. And at some point, you got to think like this has to wash out, right? We can't have zero interest rates and low interest rates forever. Something is going to change. But if the bubble were to pop, that doesn't look very good right now because of just how much debt there is in the system that would need to be cleansed. And so that crash would be very, very painful. However, we've seen, crashes do happen from 2000 to 2009 to we saw temporarily in March that they just initiate the money printer every time this happens. And so every time that we print more money and stimulate the economy, it leads to debasing the currency. So look, I think that it actually is very possible that we have this massive unwinding. We saw a little hint of it, I think, in January when the equities had this sell-off at just the mere threat of a rate hike. All of this is headed in the same direction. They can't allow the economy to just fail and collapse. They have to pump in more liquidity. What does that mean? Well, it's a great value proposition for why you need Bitcoin, because they can't manipulate, they can't inflate Bitcoin. Will the price take a hit in the circumstance of a massive crash? Absolutely. But it never goes to zero. It never just disappears and dies. I know a lot of people were saying, oh, Bitcoin's dead in January. It's crashing harder than the traditional markets. Well, it's very resilient. It's already back in the 40s. And I'm very bullish on this year and very bullish on the long term, because as the Fed, as the government, as governments around the world, central banks around the world show the populations that they're going to continue to debase the currency at the expense of basically the average working person, people are going to start to figure it out and opt out into this parallel system that is Bitcoin. And that is why I'm so hopeful about the future, because I think it allows us to rebuild an economy based on price signals, based on real interest rates, based on value, based on supply and demand, which honestly is something we haven't had for a long time. Yeah, so especially when the market takes a dip, it's a great buying opportunity because again, I see in 4, 6, 8 years, I see these corrections as almost the best opportunity for you to increase your accumulation and the level of, the amount of Bitcoin that you have. So it can be painful again in the short term. And I never tell people to invest what they need to spend in the next year or say few years in Bitcoin. I see this as that long long-term bet, the long-term investment, the insurance policy against the central banks and their fiscal irresponsibility. I believe that what they've been doing has been very irresponsible. And I think that what's great about Bitcoin too is it really allows you to start thinking about the future again. I think, you know, I'm a millennial, and there are a lot of millennials out there who are just stressed about the future. They're like, I can't afford a house like my parents could. I can't afford this. I can't afford that. I can't have kids. Well, with Bitcoin, thinking about the fact that my money will probably increase in value 2 times, 5-fold, 10-fold, who knows, infinite potential, I can finally plan for a future. And that feels really good to me.
How much Bitcoin should I buy? Let's say I have, 100% of my allocation. Out of that, what percentage of my money should go into Bitcoin?
This is so funny. I actually asked a technical analyst, like, if I gave you $5 million, how much would you put in Bitcoin?
I promise you I'm not stealing your questions.
Okay, well, he said 5.2 million. You want to put it all and take out some money. Look, I'm a huge proponent of Bitcoin. If you have, say, 100,000, a million, and you don't need to spend that for 4 years, I would put all of it into Bitcoin, but that's just what I would do. I'm very bullish on it. So
here's a question I ask people that see Bitcoin as a store of value. Okay, Natalie, let's say you put all your money in Bitcoin. Well, today, you'll make more money after this, but let's say you put all your savings today into Bitcoin. Would you feel comfortable leaving it in a wallet, a cold wallet somewhere, and just not touching it for 20, 25 years or 30 years until eventually one day you come out of retirement, you'll be confident that that account has grown tremendously in value. You can't trade it, you can't touch it, just leave it there for 30 years. Would you be comfortable doing that?
I would. In fact, I do that. There's Bitcoin that I don't think I'll ever sell. I don't think that I would ever sell it because I want it for my future. I want it to hand to my children someday.
Is it an investment if you don't sell it?
Of course, it's a savings account. You can borrow against it someday. So we're envisioning a future where Bitcoin is worth a lot. It was Bitcoin, when I discovered in 2017, that led me down the path of truly understanding our monetary system, of understanding the history of fiat, the history of when we went off the gold standard, the history of the Federal Reserve, what money printing is and how it benefits the few, and it really hurts the majority of the people in this country. And I became very passionate about it. I felt like I want to hold people accountable in government. That's why I wanted to become a reporter. Well, now I want to educate the public on not only the problem, but that there's a fix. It's based on technology. I know it's hard for some people to grasp because it's not technically physical, but it's pristine math. It's an incredibly powerful network. It's based on decentralization and scarcity, and it can fix so many of the problems we're facing. And it offers us this path toward hope. And that's why I wanted to leave my job, because ultimately I feel like I'm helping the world. And I didn't necessarily feel that way anymore in my previous career.